After testing dozens of ferro rods and countless striker combinations, here is what I found. The most important thing is not which ferro rod you get, but what striker you're using. Let me show you what I mean. First, we have the common striker, and you can see it gets a good spark. It doesn't shoot it that far though. And now we have a tungsten carbide striker with a little bit more leverage on this one. And you can see it launches sparks. Just absolutely throws them. Tungsten is one of the hardest metals and is the best material for a striker to get the most out of your ferro rod. But there's a second layer to this to get the most amount of sparks. It's also about the length of that striker, so you could get the most amount of leverage. And this is why a knife with a 90-degree spine on it gives you some of the best sparks. It's because you get so much leverage, you take off so much material off that ferro rod that it generates the most amount of sparks. And that's why even a small tungsten striker like this only gives you half decent sparks. Only your 2 fingers can give you leverage on that. Whereas with a knife, for instance, your whole hand is giving you leverage. You could shave off a ton more material, or something like a longer tungsten striker like this absolutely just throws sparks. You could put tons of leverage into that thing. Another bonus of the tungsten striker is it doubles as a blade sharpener in the field. For your knives, axes, fishing hooks even. Because the tungsten is harder than your blade's metal, it makes a really good sharpener, especially for the curved parts of your blades. So it's not just the best ferro rod striker, it's also a multi-tool. So you start your fire, you put your ferro rod down, you forget to put it on your neck or in your pocket because you're just so excited, and you start building that fire up. Next thing you know, you've kicked around leaves and you can't find your ferro rod. I've done this so many times myself, so when you get a ferro rod, make sure it has either a fluorescent lanyard or a reflective lanyard. I personally prefer reflective because I'm usually building fires in the evening when it's just about to get dark, and that's when I lose my ferro rod, and then I have my headlamp to look around and I could see it reflecting back at me. Now there are 4 primary ferro rod techniques to start a fire. Number 1 is the shooting spark technique. You literally just shoot sparks. This technique is great, but it only works well under optimal conditions. You need to have the perfect tinder that's dry and a really high quality ferro rod and striker. If your tinder's a bit damp or it's really cold outside, you'll want to try the second technique for your best chance at a fire. You can do a spark shower where it's just machine gun style. With this technique, you place your ferro rod right into your tinder bundle. Now you do a few fast machine gun style strikes. And in addition to a ton of sparks, it also heats up your bundle at the same time. So if your tinder's not ideal, maybe it's raining out and that tinder's a bit moist, or if it's in the winter and it's freezing cold, that bundle will need to heat up to ignition temperature before that flame is going to catch. But there are downsides to these first 2 techniques because sometimes you can overstrike and your knuckles will send the tinder bundle flying, which is just so frustrating when you're trying to get a fire going, especially if you're using a cheap small striker and you need to get closer and closer to shoot proper sparks. If you do it enough, your knuckles can even bash the base of what you're striking into, leading to scrapes and cuts like this. Technique number 3 prevents that entirely. Instead of pushing the striker forward, we're pulling the ferro rod backwards. This is the pullback technique, and it works really well with high quality tungsten strikers or knives with 90-degree spines on them. One of the other benefits is it sends a very concentrated batch of sparks. So you could have your knife vertical like this or horizontal like this. The only downside to this technique is, again, you have to have pretty ideal dry tinder, and it won't work well with generic small strikers. And lastly, the landmine technique, which is my personal favorite. You scrape the ferro rod slowly, not trying to start a spark, but trying to pile up shavings. Instead of increased speed, we're looking for increased pressure. Once we get a good pile of these shavings that we're happy with, we can now place our tinder building around them. Then shooting a single spark into them will cause all of it to ignite, looking like little fireworks or landmines going off. And this produces a lot of heat, so it's the best for unideal, slightly damp or cold tinder. It's my favorite technique to teach beginners because they get it right away and saves a ton of frustration. The only downside to this technique is it doesn't work on all ferro rods. It only works on soft ferro rods with quality sharp strikers, like carbide for instance. And large ferro rods like this can last over 20,000 strikes, so you don't need to worry about wearing the thing down with all the shavings. So let's talk about ferro rod size. A smaller ferro rod like this is great if you're weight conscious or you have it in a small survival tin, but I personally don't like them for 2 reasons. reasons. First being the diameter of them, because they're so small, you're not scraping off that much material. You're just getting a little bit of sparks each time. It makes it a lot harder to start a fire. And two, to use one, you have to get up real close to your tinder bundle, so you run into that same problem where you could knock your knuckles or knock your tinder bundle away completely. So I always lean towards a full-size ferro rod because it starts fires the best, it lasts the longest, and most importantly, it's the most reliable. What about a handle on a ferro rod? A handle is great because it gives you more leverage, good grip, and it's really comfortable in your hand. The downside to a permanent handle like this is after you use it a lot, one side is going to get very thin and you can't flip it around anymore because it's got the permanent handle attached. And that's why a ferro rod with both sides exposed with a temporary handle is superior. Once you wear down one side, you could always flip the handle to the other side and then you get double the life out of your ferro rod. Even if it has a lanyard hole in it, it still strikes perfectly fine. As for a temporary handle, I like to build my own out of waxed hemp. And this serves a dual purpose. Not only do you have a good handle, but taking off just a small amount, you could separate the 3 strands inside, pull them all apart so they could catch fire a little bit easier, and use this ball of them as a fire starting candle. Not only does it catch a spark easily, but it burns a flame for a long time, allowing even unideal tinder to warm up and catch really easily. It's an amazing emergency backup for stubborn fires or when you can't find great tinder. After using your ferro rod a lot, no matter what technique you're using, you'll find you'll get ridges in it. It'll still work with the ridges, it just might not work as well. To get those out, it's really easy. You just take a file like this, and you might want to do this outside because there might be some sparks, but you just file those ridges down till it's back to normal. So if you're looking for the best ferro rod with all of these qualities, I'm completely biased because we've created the new Bare Essentials Ferro Rod and Tungsten Striker Kit. If you have your own ferro rod already, you could get your tungsten sharpener striker alone, but the kit comes with everything. Full-size, amazing ferro rod, reflective lanyard, the tungsten sharpener striker, and waxed hemp to wrap your handle. It all comes in a burlap storage sack. This is the Bare Essentials quality that we're known for and the thought processes that go into our products. This kit is amazing. So if you want to support the channel and get an awesome product in return, this is the way to do it. I'm your friend DJ with the Bare Essentials, and thanks for stopping by.